the first thing I want to show you is basically the foundation to everything. Okay, the foundation to everything when it comes to anime shading in 3D. I call this basically like the gradient concept. That is like, if you understand this, you unlock everything. Okay, so let me see if I can if I can explain this in a way that is as understandable as possible. When you look at this, it's just a simple gradient, right? And this gradient is basically what you find in any lighting that you create in 3D. So let's say we add a sphere, right? And we move it to the side. We give it, make it nice and smooth. And then, for example, we add a light to the scene. Let's add a sunlight. There you go. And all of a sudden we have this sphere lit up. And now if we make it a bit brighter, you can see basically this gradient that you see here, which goes from black to white or from white to black, whatever you want to say, is the same thing that you get when you light something in 3D. We have here white, and then we have a gradient all the way to black, and of course the other way around, black to white. So let's now do something to this gradient. So this gradient, you can see it as black and white, or how you can also see it is as 0 and 1. That's a horrible one. Horrible one. You can maybe you can see that I haven't been to school for a while. And this is kind of like the second level of this gradient concept. So black and white equals black is 0, white is 1. And then the middle, for example, the exact middle between black and white, like 50% gray is 0.5, 25% gray is 0.25, so on and so forth. So now, for example, if we go in here and select this so we can adjust the gradient material, let's add something in here to kind of manipulate how this gradient looks. So let me just move this over, and then let's now add something called converter color ramp. Now let's just take the color and put it into the color ramp and then plug this into the surface. Nothing has really changed because the color ramp has not been adjusted yet. The color ramp now allows us to adjust how the gradient will look. So if you, for example, take the black right here, the black handle, and then we move it over, you can see it correlates to what we see in the gradient. So this is basically a perfect representation of what the gradient looks like. What this color ramp basically does is it takes the original gradient, which goes from 0 to 1, and plugs it on here. So now this one here, this black over on the side, the most left part of this bar, this gradient bar, is 0, and this most right part of the gradient bar is 1. And then if we move this over here, what this basically means is everything that are values from here 0 to right now it's at 0.2. So any value from this black to white or 0 to 1 gradient that is from 0 to 0.201 right now will be black. So this everything here, all the gradient values that were before is now turning black, and everything that is past this will also be changed to contain the gradient that was originally taking up the entire space. I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully, okay? So what we can then also do is change the value. So we could say, hey, well, we have the white value and we have the black value, but what if we don't want it to be black and white? What if we want the black values or the values that have 0? What if we want this to be, let's say, like blue, and then all of a sudden it's blue? And because it's a linear interpolation, it tries to create a smooth gradient from this white handle to this blue handle. Keep in mind, the original gradient still looks the same, but the color ramp modifies it. So the reason why we want to use the color ramp is the color ramp is basically the secret to creating cell shading. How does cell shading look? If we look back at our anime scene, for example, cell shading means there's one light color and one dark color. Right now, in our scene, we have a light color, a dark color, and then the full spectrum of gradients in between. So what we want to do is change this gradient to only have one light color and one dark color. And the easiest way we can do that is to change this interpolation from linear, where it tries to create a gradient from one handle to the other. These are handles, by the way. We change this from linear to constant, which means this. Well, it's just blue, I guess. But it basically means it starts on the left side, so on this handle, and applies what the handle's color is all the way up to the next handle. So to this white one. Since the white one is all the way to the right, we don't see anything. But once we move the white handle a little bit over there, all of a sudden we can see a second color appear. Now the white color appears, and now everything else past the white color will be white. If we were to add another one like this, and we bring it over there again, you can see it goes blue again after this value has been reached. And this is how we can create the basic cell shading look. We take the gradient that the lighting creates on the sphere, and then we can convert it to one light, one dark by determining on what point of the gradient it's supposed to change from black to white. Another one that I want to show you, because we can not only do this with the color ramp node, there's actually another one we can use, which we can find. Well, good question. I just use my hotkeys. Let's just search for it, which is the math node. And this one I would actually recommend for you to use rather than the color ramp node for most cases. And then for this math node, we want to use the greater than operation. The way the math node works is that it does a certain math operation. So if you set this to add, for example, it's going to add the two values together. For greater than, though, what it does is it checks the gradient, and if the gradient value, so 0 to 1, is above this threshold, it's going to be white or 1. If it's below the threshold, it's going to be 0. So in this case, let's set this to 0.5. And since the gradient, right, is perfectly linear, so starting from black and going to white, the middle of this, like where the axis is, the y-axis, would be where the value 0 would be. I mean, 0.5 would be. So everything that is past this point, past the axis, will be 1, because it is above or greater than 0.5, and everything below is less than 0.5, so it's going to be black. So these two allow you to create a perfect cell shading look on these gradients. We know how to apply this to this gradient, but how do we now convert this or apply this to the lighting of the sphere? To make sure that you have that, which we should have since we set up the Blender file in the beginning, but just to make sure, you need to use Eevee. It will not work in cycles. If you're using Goo Engine, you want to use Goo Engine, of course, the render engine. If you use the Blender vanilla version, you want to use Eevee. We have the sphere, we have the sun. Let's get rid of the principal BSDF. This is usually the default that gets created if you create a new material for an object. And then we want to look for something called diffuse BSDF. This one is basically the most basic version a sphere can be lit. So now if we plug, for example, the greater than node, I have a hotkey for it. That's why it shows up like that. Okay, just so you know. If we now put the greater than node into the shader, what happens is nothing. We can't. If we plug this in, it says invalid link. We need to somehow convert the BSDF shader output of this node into a color output. The way that I like to use the shader, I mean the add menu in the shader, is by just using the search button rather than having to find them in the menu right here. So whenever you see this and then I type something, that's what it is. You open the menu, add, and then I type something to search for it. So what we're trying to find is something called shader to RGB. You can also just type something that is remotely what you're looking for, like sRGB. You'll also find shader to RGB because sRGB, all of those letters are in shader to RGB. And this one has a green input and then a color and alpha output, which is exactly what we need. So we put in the BSDF. And then if we preview this, you can see it looks like this with the color. And if we look at the shader, it looks exactly the same. So this basically just converts the color. No, this basically converts the shader output from the diffuse BSDF into a simple color output, which we can now use and plug the greater than node into. And look at that, it has already changed. And we can see the cell shading happening in real time. It looks a bit weird right now, but you can see now if we move the sun, and the little highlight on the ball changes too. Which means now we just need to kind of adjust to where the distinction between light and dark starts. And we can do that, of course, with the threshold. So we just bring this down, Ta-da! We can of course bring it all the way to like 0.01 if we want to. I usually go with something like 0.07. That's usually what I go with, but it also kind of depends on how bright your light is. You can see if I change the brightness of the light, you can see that the shader also changes. So a quick tip for that is that you just kind of want to stick with the same light brightness for your project, or at least for the same project, so that you can set up the same values for all your shaders. That just makes it a bit easier and a bit more organized. Of course, we can do the same with the color ramp. Just, I just want to show you that it works with this one too. We set this to constant now, ta-da, and it works too. So this is like still basically, as you can see now, the same setup that we've used on the simple gradient on the plane. And if you want to make it look a little bit more like lighting, of course, we can, for example, change the light color here. So now it looks a little bit more like light. We could, in theory, of course, add another one and make this even brighter. Let's say we make this like a nice bright yellow, and then it looks a little bit more like lighting. Look at that. The way you would do that in greater than, because the greater than only gives you a black and white value, we need to do it a bit different than in the color ramp. So this is like, I guess, maybe one way the color ramp works a little bit easier is that you can immediately give the shading its colors in the color ramp, which can be easier. I actually prefer it the other way around, and the reason for that I'm going to share in a bit. But for now, let's see how we can create a similar setup to this, where we can give the black and white values colors for the greater than. For that, we want to have a mix color node. So the factor, if you look at this and you make this, for example, black and this one white, you can see the factor determines which color we use. So we have two color inputs. We have A and B, and the factor basically, just like the gradient, has a value from 0 to 1. And 0 means we take A, and and 1 means we use B. And then of course 0.5 would mean that we use something in between. But of course, in our case, we don't want that. We just want to have the exact distinction between these two colors. We want to have one or the other. So we plug this into the factor. And now we have basically the same setup as before, but now we can actually determine what colors we want to have for the shadow and for the highlights. And then of course, if you're asking like, oh, but here I was able to do 2 values. Well, the way that you would do that with the greater than node is you would just add another greater than, and then plug this in here, then add another color ramp, and then plug this, the mix output here, into the A. We can basically now use the second greater than and plug that into the factor. And then, since you can see, if you compare it, it looks exactly the same, because we still need to adjust the threshold. We want the highlight color to start at a higher white value. So the threshold needs to change from this to something higher on the second one. So we move this a bit higher on the second one. And now if we look at this, you can see the yellow is only up there. And then we have the gradient, the color right there, and then the shadow color right there. You can see if I change the second color, it changes only where the yellow is. If you want to learn more about 3D anime, make sure to check out my free 3D anime course here on YouTube. In there, I basically try to condense all the information that I have gathered over the last 2.5 years of creating my projects and learning things and researching things and testing things basically. And I've tried to put it all into this one course for free, which you can see and find on YouTube. So if you're curious about that and want to learn more and go more in depth in creating your own 3D anime, for example, make sure to check out the description where you'll find the link to it. Otherwise, I guess you can also just enjoy more of these clips if you want. So yeah, do whatever you want.